Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are doing a viewer request on a Pokemon. Well, Darkrai has suggested in a Feraligatr team building video, if you haven't seen it, check it out, for us to do a Venusaur centered team. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing right now. Like Pedro suggested or asked, we are going to be building a team around Venusaur. Right now, we have just built the perfect Sun team with Venusaur as a supportive option. But I also have Regulation H videos to record, which are going to be featuring a really strong Sandstorm combo, a Feraligatr video that is going to be centered around Feraligatr and Rain. I'm also going to be showcasing Magierno in a video that I'm preparing in the future, and 2 more surprise videos are in the making. It is a lot of content, so if you guys want to see those videos, if you guys are excited by any of this, do drop a sub so that you guys can be notified of when I drop these videos. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this team breakdown. I actually think that Venusaur has a lot of potential, and it's a Pokemon that is quite easy to build around, at least the concept. It is not an absurdly strong Pokemon and bulky Pokemon, but is one that can actually handle some pressure. And I really do like that. But one thing that makes Venusaur special is the Chlorophyll ability. Like it reads here, if the sun is active, this Pokemon's speed is doubled. And why is that important? Well, even though Venusaur is not a particularly fast Pokemon, it is one that, if this ability is activated, can actually output some serious speed. And you can guarantee that by building a Sun team around this Pokemon. So, we have 2 Sunsetters in this regulation, 2 viable Sunsetters in this regulation. We have Groudon and we have Groudon. And this time, I'm actually going to choose Groudon over Groudon. And why is that? Well, first of all, we are already establishing a relation between this Pokemon and its ability with this Pokemon and its ability. So one benefits the other, so that's quite good. And one other thing that caught my attention was the fact that Venusaur learned this move, Sweet Scent. Sweet Scent is an amazing move that lowers the foe's evasiveness by 2 stages. Why is that relevant? Well, first of all, this is a move, a status move, that applies to everyone on the field, the opposing side of course. So this is really good, it's not a targeted move, so you can pressure both of your opposing Pokemon. Okay, so now that we can infer some pressure on them, how do we take advantage with this? That's where Groudon enters. Groudon is a really strong restricted Pokemon. It has amazing bulk and it has an amazing typing. But the only thing that makes this Pokemon be less utilized than Kyogre, its Gen 3 counterpart, is the fact that its main move misses. Okay, so we have Precipice Blades here, and Precipice Blades has 85% accuracy, which isn't the best. But it is a ground type move, really good typing of course, and it hits both of your opponents. Okay, so that's amazing, but it's not reliable. But we can change that with Sweet Scent. So with Sweet Scent, Precipice Blades is going to end up around this percentage of accuracy that I'm going to be displaying here. and that's pretty good. Now that we have established a powerful duo, we need to add the rest of the team. Okay, and we right now are in Regulation J, and so I want to make a team that I can use in a future video. And a Pokemon that I was thinking that I could use is actually Darkrai. Once again, you might be thinking, why use Darkrai? You have other Pokemon, you have Arceus, you could be Fire-type Arceus, you could be a Magearna, a Deoxys. Why use Darkrai? Well, I think some of you already know where this is going, but Darkrai is a really strong mythical Pokemon. And that is because of a particularly strong signature move that it has. Dark Void. Dark Void, if it hits, causes both of the opponent's Pokemon to fall asleep. That is extremely powerful. And previously its accuracy was 80%, but during Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, this move was nerfed. I mean, the generation after that, because Smeargle would learn it and it would put everyone to sleep. And so, well, Darkrai got nerfed by consequence. Okay, so this is really good, right? What relation are we establishing here? Well, we are establishing that Venusaur is going to be an enabler for the rest of the team. The case of Groudon is actually not only going to be an enabler with a Sweet Scent Precipice Blades combo that you can do right off the gate, but it functions as a Pokemon that is capable of covering its weakness, a weakness to water. So the grass typing here is really cool. So now we have to build the rest of the team. So we have these three, and now we have to think of the rest of our Sun team. Generally, I like to be prepared for some scenarios. So, what's the biggest counter to a Sun team? Well, it's weather control. Okay, and there are two forms of weather control that you can have. You can have passive weather control via an ability, like Groudon here, and you have weather control via move selection. And so we want to basically control those two things. How can we do this? Well, first of all, if I'm ever against a Pokemon that can set up weather, I want to be able to thrive in that weather, right? And to provide damage in that weather form. And so, another really strong Pokemon that is capable of changing the weather is Kyogre. So, Kyogre has its drizzle ability, summoning the rain, and it is a natural counter to Groudon. We also have Rayquaza with a Airlock ability that basically disables Sun's effect, meaning that it can make it so that Venusaur loses its speed, which is not that good. And we have Pelipper, another Pokemon that has the Drizzle ability, summoning the rain. But other than that, we don't have any other relevant Pokemon that can set the rain. But we have Pokemon that can abuse the rain, like Urshifu, especially the Urshifu Rapid Strike. So, what I'm thinking is to take advantage of the rain. And how can we do this? Well, first of all, I think that we have to have picks that could survive in the rain, like I said, and a pick that most people use is Raging Bolt. Why is that? Well, it's a dragon type, a really powerful and bulky dragon type, meaning that it can resist and tank really strong water damage from Pokemon like Kyogre. The thing Raging Bolt is extremely strong, and then it learns a really interesting and powerful move, that being Thunderclap. Thunderclap is like a priority move that acts like Sucker Punch. Because Raging Bolt is so slow, it actually might not be able to attack before the opponent attacks. So, by using Thunderclap, we can ensure that we attack first. Now that we have these power Pokemon, we have basically a really good groundwork, I would say. Because we have Venusaur enabling these three Pokemon, and we have a way to ensure that we are not immediately countered by opposing weather. I think that a really powerful Pokemon that always gets paired in these Groudon teams is Chi-Yu. Why is Chi-Yu important here? Well, it is a dark fire type. Dark and fire are really strong in this regulation due to the presence of Caloric Shadow Rider. This Pokemon is also really strong against a really common restricted duel on the Shadow Rider and Zamazenta. So it's a really good and strong Pokemon to have in this regulation. And to be honest, I quite like having two dark types, just so that we can more effectively counter the Shadow Riders. Chi-Yu is a Treasure of Ruin Pokemon that has the ability Beats of Ruin. With this ability, we are effectively diminishing the opponent's Pokemon special defense. This is extremely relevant because so far we have 4 special attackers, so this means that we can output a lot of pressure when the time comes. It is also a really strong Pokemon, and it has a good solid speed stat. So I think this Pokemon is really good, and it is a Pokemon that can give us some actual fire type coverage. So far, I know that Groudon can also learn fire type moves like Heat Crash, but I don't want to lock this Groudon to fire type moves yet. So, first of all, the important thing is to construct the team, see what we can do with the team, manipulate the team in a way that we can actually come to a conclusion on what we want to do. And so, if you guys have been paying attention to the rest of the team building process, we are missing one key thing. We already have Pokemon that can abuse the sun that we are going to set. We already have Pokemon that can abuse the support coming from Venusaur, right? But now, and we also have Pokemon that can help us in difficult matchups on the Raging Bolt and Venusaur, but now we have one thing missing, a critical piece, and that is a Pokemon that can help us maintain the weather. Like I said, we have Groudon here that can set up this weather, and having this weather condition is fundamental to keep our team thriving. And so, the thing that we are missing right now is a Pokemon that can set up the sunny day. Now, for example, we have our Groudon on the field, and we have Drought, right? We have Venusaur, and in the next turn, at the beginning of the fighting phase, our opponent switches their Pokemon and brings in Kyogre. So that's really bad for us. Why? Well, Venusaur is not going to be as fast as we want right now, and Groudon is going to be vulnerable to water type moves. We don't have the sunny day to protect ourselves. That is not good at all. And we are also going to lose the photosynthesis boost that we have on our Raging Bolt, and Chi-Yu is going to do less damage. So, because of this, it is critical to maintain the weather. We can do this by choosing a Pokemon that can set up that sunny day. And I want it to be as fast as possible setting it, so that we can, at the beginning of the next turn, if that supposed Kyogre gets in, that we can just set up the weather first and reduce the offensive pressure of that Kyogre, whilst enabling our team and also basically making our team stronger because the sun is going to reduce the water type damage. So I want a Sunny Day Pokemon. We have some good picks here, but we can also go further and use a Pokemon that has Prankster to set that weather. And I think that the obvious choices are always Whimsicott and Tornadus. If we look at the rest of them, I mean it is really interesting. I think these Pokemon are really good in some niche scenarios, but they won't fulfill the niche that I want. And I want a Pokemon that can help me in a situation where I just can't do anything in a rainy weather, for example. And so I am going to utilize Tornadus. And why Tornadus? Well, Tornadus learned a new move in this past generation, that being Liquid Storm. As you guys can read, it lowers the opponent's speed by one stage, and in the rain it cannot miss, meaning that if we are ever against a Kyogre, the Kyogre is actually just going to enable our team. And so I think that Tornadus is a really cool and fundamental Pokemon to have in our team. It enables our team through more weather control, which is really important. And so, now that we have our 6 Pokemon up, it is time for us to actually create the rest of the sets. So, after a bit of EV testing, I think I've come around and found out what are, in my opinion, the best EV spreads and sets for these specific Pokemons. So, let's begin the second team breakdown. So, we have Venusaur here. Venusaur is rocking the Tera Ghost to avoid the fake outs. That's really important because we want Venusaur to be able, with its speed, to do important things, like immediately set up the Sweet Scent so that we can hit the Precipice Blades, maybe pressure someone with Sleep Powder, or just go on the offense, right? So Tera Ghost, I think it's ideal in this situation. Sash is always going to allow us to survive one hit, and this is extremely important. Once again, so it enables us to survive one hit so that we can just pressure the opposing side with Sweet Scent or Sleep Powder. This is the EV spread. Because we are using a Sash, we do not have to go wild on this EV set. I've used a covered cloak set Venusaur, which was a more bulky variant. I think that is not necessary, and I really want to just outspeed everything so that I can support my team. And so I gave it a Timid Nature, max speed. I want this Pokemon to do a bit of damage if it can with Leaf Storm, and so I gave it to 52 in the special attack department. Now, like we spoke of, this Pokemon is a support pick. It's an enabler for the rest of the team. So let's begin with its partner, Groudon. This Groudon is quite unique. It is a Life Orb variant. This moveset consists of Precipice Blades, the move that I've already said that we are going to be utilizing so that we can use Venusaur to the fullest. Precipice Blades is a move that is now going to be more than 100% accurate, so this is really good. We chose Precipice Blades because this team is going to go on to the best of one ranked ladder. I wanted to have some spice in it. Usually Groudons run Heat Crash, and Heat Crash is utilized because Groudon is extremely heavy, and so we always get max damage with those Heat Crashes. But we have a fundamental problem with that. That being that we cannot pressure a restricted Pokemon that well with that move, because most restricteds are also extremely heavy. And so I chose Eruption. It is a move that is going to pressure both of the opponent's Pokemon, which is really good, and it's going to do a lot of damage, especially if you go with a Tera Fire. If we are a max HP, we have a 150 base power move that is going to get multiplied 1.5 times by Sunny Day, and a bit more by the Tera Fire Tera type. And we also have multiplicative damage with the Life Orb. We are looking at a lot, and I mean a lot, of multiplicative stacking damage. That is really important because this Pokemon is going to be a huge threat for our opponents to deal with. So I really like this set. We have two moves that can hit both of our opponent's Pokemon on Precipice Blades and Eruption that we have already established that are not going to miss. But I also wanted to have a single target move, this being the High Horsepower. High Horsepower is extremely good because Zamazenta is a common Pokemon and is a Pokemon that usually utilizes Wild Guard. And I don't want to go onto a matchup where I have a Zamazenta that is permanently pressing Wild Guard, and it's just going to make it so that our Groudon cannot do anything. And yeah, that's not a good time. So I wanted some single target damage to abuse the Groudon's extremely high base stat, and so that we could just eliminate Zamazentas if we need to focus on them. This set is quite PV spread is quite wacky, but I'll explain. So we have a Life Orb. Life Orb basically cuts our HP by 1/10 every time we attack. Okay, that's the trade-off by giving us the 30% boost to our attacks. Because of that, I want to maximize the amount of HP that we have whilst minimizing the HP that we are going to lose. And so, utilizing an HP stat of 179 instead of 180 is going to make it so that we lose 17 HP instead of 18 HP. And because we are 179, we basically have 9 HP points more that we would have had to expend. This makes it so that this Groudon is going to maximize HP that it has whilst losing the minimal HP possible with this HP range. And so now onto the attack, I chose to give it the maximum attack possible because the main focus of this Groudon is that Precipice Blades that I've been talking about. Eruption is a niche tech, and so I wanted to make it so that the Groudon would be the strongest variant that it could, utilizing its attack. So now on to the special attack stat. I had some remaining EVs that I could distribute, and so I've put 60 HP points here, just so that we could, take advantage of the Eruption. It's basically just a remaining HP on this stat, and this speed stat here is really important. So I went 144 so that we could be 1 point slower than the Venusaur, and this is extremely important because if we are in a scenario where we don't have the sun, Venusaur is always going to be the first Pokemon to move between these two, which is going to enable it to set the Sweet Scent, and immediately after, Groudon is going to attack with the Precipice Blades. So, being 1 point slower than Venusaur is fundamental for this to work, because now, independently of the scenario that we are in, Venusaur is always going to be faster than the Groudon. And now, on to Darkrai. Darkrai is our second restricted Pokemon, and it is really good because it can put both of our opponent's Pokemon to sleep with Darkrai. I wanted to lean onto the potential of Darkrai, and so I chose to give it the Wide Lens. Tera Ghost Tera type is of the same purpose that Venusaur has, And the White Lens is going to boost our Dark Void's accuracy. It is a really small increment of 10%, making this 55% instead of 50. But we are going to be using Venusaur's Sweet Scent to improve our accuracy even further. Now, if the math does not fail me, we are looking at an over 90% accurate Dark Void with White Lens and Sweet Scent. So it is going to be a really consistent move, or a way more consistent move. Dark Pulse here is just for coverage. It's going to be really good against Lunala and Shadow Riders. Now, most Shadow Riders are Dark types. Tera types, Tera Fairies are not as usual as they used to be, and now Dark Tera typed Shadow Riders are really common, so I wanted to give it a Poképaste so that we can hit Dark types a little bit better. And this is the set. Really straightforward. I just want a fast Pokemon that is able to hit hard and, you know, just do what he has to do. Now, the important thing in this set is these 4 EVs on the defense. These 4 EVs allows us to survive an Precipice Surging Strikes, non-boosted Surging Strikes. And this is really important because facing let's say an Earthshifu with a Choice Scarf, it's going to move before us and it just hits us with a Surging Strikes and KOs our Darkrai, and our strategy just crumbles. We don't want that to happen, and so with these 4 EVs here we can guarantee our survival against that Surging Strikes. Now, Raging Bolt is our next Pokemon. This Pokemon is fundamental against other weather teams, especially the rain teams like Kyogre. So this Pokemon is really strong in that scenario with the electric and dragon typing. That is really good. I give it the electric Tera type so that we can just boost our damage even further. I think it's really good. It also puts a bit more pressure onto Miraidons that have terrestrialized, for example. Assault Vest is going to raise our special defense, and so it's going to make us extremely bulky and able to deal with really prominent threats. Dragon Pulse, Thunderbolt, Thunderclap, you guys haven't seen this, and Volt Switch are the moves of choice. I worked some pivoting on the team. Let's say that I can just pop the Sweet Scent with the Venusaur and Volt Switch with the Raging Bolt. I can then bring the Groudon in, and next turn I can just attack with the Precipice Blades and just pressure the Sleep Powder onto the opponent. So I wanted some pivoting. I really think it's a fundamental thing in VGC. And this is the Raging Bolt. These EVs, I've been using these EVs I think since my first videos. I want to say that I remember what it is supposed to do, but I don't. This speed stat, I do know it is to outspeed most fast Incineroars, not max speed Incineroars, but most of them. It is also to be faster than modest Pelipper's, so that we can just Thunderbolt them. And it is to outspeed Rillabooms, so that we can just force a KO with Dragon Pulse, for example. So yeah, this is the set. Modest is just to give us more damage. I don't think there is more to know about this Raging Bolt. Really strong Pokemon, really good Pokemon. And fundamental to maintain our Sun team. Now we have Chiyu. Chiyu is one of the main benefactors of this sun weather. It's going to be a really conventional set, just a modest max speed, max special attack fish with the choice scarf. This is going to enable our Geo to be faster than Shadow Rider and just pressure it with Dark Pulse. It's also going to be really good against the common duo of Shadow Rider and Zamazenta. I gave it the ground Tera type with the Tera Blast so that we can just catch some Miraidons off guard. They could, for example, have a Miraidon that hasn't been terrestrialized or something like that. I can just terrestrialize the ground, boom, and just one-shot them. But I don't feel threatened by Groudon. Groudon is not on the field, and I resist everything that the Shiyu wants to do. Well, you don't. You are not resisting a ground Tera Blast. So, like I said, this team is going to be utilized in a best of one scenario, so I still want to have some cheeky attacks. But this is a really straightforward Shiyu. Now we have the Tornadus. Tornadus here, apologies. Tornadus here is going to be a really bulky variant. I chose to give it the Mental Herb so that we don't get any prankster taunt onto us with a Tera type of bow, so that we can avoid fakeouts. And this Mental Herb makes more sense when we realize that, well, I just don't have any speed investment. And because I don't have any speed investment, and because I'm not Dark type, I'm not protected by prankster taunts. So someone with a prankster taunt would just make it so that our strategy is now not going to work, right? Because now we can't Tailwind, now we can't Sunny Day, and this can hinder our team massively. So I have the Mental Herb so that we can just protect ourselves from random taunts, which is really important. I gave it a really high investment on the defenses because our team is pretty frail. We don't have a lot of investment on the defensive side of our team, and I want these Tornadus to be able to just endure the maximum amount of punishment possible. I want these Tornadus to be on the field for a long time. I gave it more defense just so that we can survive E-speeds from Arceus with random boosts, stuff like that. I think that making this Pokemon more defensively reliable is really important. I gave it a Bleak Storm. Like I said, is to abuse the rain that our opponent can set up, because the Bleak Storm is not going to miss on the rain, but also it can take advantage of Venusaur Sweet Scent. We have Tailwind, because even though we have Pokemon that can be strong, we also want to, for example, have games where we just open with Tailwind, Eruption, for example. I think that's a really powerful scenario, and Prankster Tailwind is just amazing. We also have Sunny Day to control the weather, to protect our Groudon, but to also enable the rest of our team. So I think that this team is quite straightforward, but I genuinely think that this team is really strong. I think that Pedro, if I'm not mistaken, did an amazing thing by suggesting Venusaur. This is a team that I've been thinking a lot, but I just didn't have the time to build it, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this is the final team. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified when I use this team on an actual ladder video. So yeah, I appreciate if you guys stayed until the end of this video, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. See ya!